How old were you when you started dancing? I know the movie centers around dancing and a dance team.
Um, I started dancing at the age of 3, so very, very, very young. Even before then, I was always kind of like dancing around my house and stuff. My family's like, you got to put her in dance. You got to put her in. I did everything: dance, acting, singing. I was one of those kids that was always like putting on a show. So my mom was like, okay, put her in dance, and then from there, I literally like fell in love, and I continue to dance up until now. So yeah.
Amazing. What kinds of dance do you specialize in?
So I specialize, I would say now more in the hip hop realm of things. However, I am a trained dancer. From grade 7 to 12, I actually went to an arts high school
Oh
and
wow.
trained all ballet and modern. But I started off really young doing hip hop and like tap and stuff. And then I just loved it, kept doing more and more and more and more. But recently, I think like in my career, I definitely focus more on the hip hop side of things, but I still do like Broadway stuff and contemporary and all that fun stuff. But yeah,
That's amazing. So you're very well versed in the dancing space. That's amazing.
yeah,
So of
thank you.
course we saw you and work it as Trinity. What was your audition process like for the project?
So it's actually a very long process. So I'd say back in February of last year, we got a email saying they need a demo reel to be considered for the role. And so I was like, okay, cool, dance audition, that's sick. So I did a little quick, went to the studio, little thing put together, sent to my agent, and then we didn't hear for like 2 months. I'm like, okay, like what's going on? And then we finally heard, I think like in April, about a casting call. We're like so excited, okay, cool. So we went in, we had our first round of auditions, we did cuts right away. I made it to the second round, of course. And then I went just to be in the ensemble crew. I didn't audition for an acting role or anything. And then from there, they asked a bunch of dancers to come in and do an acting role. And I was obviously chosen for one of those. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited because I haven't acted in so long, whatever. And so I felt confident about it. And then I got the role from Trinity right from there. So I auditioned for Trinity right away.
Oh, wow.
Um, and so right away I connected with her. I'm like, I just love the character. She was just so like unique and special. But originally I auditioned for her with like just like a normal like sassy mean girl type of vibe. And then it was only the second callback. The director was like, "Can you play our monotone?" And I was like, "Okay, sure." So then I played a monotone, and they're like, "Oh my God, we love it. That's great." And I was like, "Okay." So then we left. We again didn't hear for 2 weeks, and I was like, "Oh God, I didn't get it." And I was so sad. And then we heard another thing. We had a camera test. We finally went in, and then we got casted finally. So it was quite a bit of a road till the final thing, but it was definitely worth the wait.
Definitely, it definitely was worth it. So how would you describe Trinity? You mentioned that she's kind of like a mean girl, sassy. How would you describe
So definitely monotone and blah. She's very like to the point, has like no emotion. Like the only time I see Trinity smile is when she's doing her little dance thing, and that's because she's performing. But in her real day to day, she's kind of very blah, monotone, almost like not even there. Will do anything for Juilliard. Like that is her main. Like she's the sidekick. Like if Juilliard says do this, she's right behind him. And yeah, like a mean girl, but I feel like she's only mean because she wants to be like Juilliard's best friend.
it?
I don't think she actually has like a, I think she actually means well, but because of who she's a part of the Thunderbirds, she just has to play that part. But yeah.
Definitely. And what was it like getting to work so closely with Keenan and the rest of the other cast members?
Oh, he was honestly awesome. To be honest, I didn't know much of Keenan until I actually met him, and we got along really, really well. He's actually very opposite of Juilliard. He's so laid back and like relaxed, kind of quiet, like to himself. Like in rehearsals, like he wasn't like that at all. He kind of just like kind of sit back and but everyone was just so like welcoming and like no one was judged. Like everyone was just like we're there to have a good time and make a movie. There was no tension. It was just honestly, we always said, like even now we're talking about it, like did we even film a movie? Because we felt like we were having fun the whole time, and we kind of like on our breaks would be hanging out, and it was just honestly, it was a great time. But yeah.
It's the best experience, a project where everyone's getting along and just like it feels like a whole bunch of fun. That's amazing.
Exactly.
You have
Yeah.
like a favorite scene that you filmed specifically in the movie?
Yeah, I think the lighting booth scene was definitely one of my favorites. It was second week of filming, but that was like the first time I kind of really connected to Trinity. Originally, I did have lines in that scene that got cut out, so that was like the first time I just felt like, oh, I'm Trinity. The first couple of scenes that we filmed, I was still kind of like easing in. I was a bit nervous, and actually that day we also filmed the dance scene earlier. So I had a bunch of adrenaline running. We were just all bonding, and I was covered in white powder, and it was just a whole ordeal. But I think that was like the first time it was like fun to play with Quinn, Serena plays Quinn, and it just was just a good day. So yeah, definitely that scene.
That's great. And you mentioned you and the cast got along and hung out. Did you do anything fun like on your breaks or like go anywhere around the town when you weren't
Yeah,
filming?
so we actually so the last 2 weeks of filming, we filmed in Mississauga Living Arts Center, and we had a big green room. And they'd always say we had camp counselors, just like our ADs and stuff, and they would bring like toys, like they brought like this big thing of Jenga and cards, and like, so we would literally like on our breaks just go in there and play. And then they'd be like, guys, you have to go on set. And we'd be like, oh, we're playing a game of Jenga, like let us play. We also went, some of the cast like watched Raptors games together in Toronto. I was not there that day, but we also did some karaoke. That was fun. So like we did actually hang out like outside of set, which is like definitely a good bonding experience, but lots of fun.
And your Trinity's character was in the Thunderbirds in the movie. Were you in like a dance team in high school as well?
In high school, I went to ballet school, like so it was not really like Thunderbirds type thing, but my competitive school, so like outside of school, I had an evening school. Um, it was kind of like that, like I was never a mean kid, I was opposite of that. I wanted to be everyone's friend, super outgoing, friendly. So I definitely wasn't really a Thunderbird growing up. I would say I'm definitely more of a TBD, to be honest. I was kind of like, kind of not an outcast, but I like to wear my own thing. I was never in uniform. I would never just like dress like everybody else, so not really. I just kind of got along with everybody and would make friends and just dance whoever wanted to dance. I wasn't really a part of like a team like that.
That's good though, to kind of be your own person. Of course, it's good to be your own person, but to have
Yeah,
that
yeah, exactly.
acting projects. And you mentioned that you were like an acting role in this movie. Did you ever do any other acting projects aside from this one before?
Yeah, I mean, this one's definitely the biggest role I've had. But growing up, I did like lots of like commercials and like, child acting where it's like you're kind of just being yourself but acting. I did just Disney's Jump In with Corbin Blue. That was fun when I was about like 9 or 10. So that was like acting. And then when I was like 10 to 12, I actually filmed my own TV show where I hosted like a dance show teaching kids how to dance. So that was fun. But again, nothing too serious on the acting side. This is like the first opportunity I've gotten to really like play a character, dig in, who someone's nothing like me.
Yeah. Is acting something you want to pursue more moving forward, like an acting role?
I mean, after work, I really fell in love with acting because there's a time in my life where I didn't kind of pay attention to it and I kind of just like put it aside, was more on dancing. But I think after work and working so closely with like, Sabrina Carpenter, Jordan Fisher, Keenan Lonzo, Liza Koshy, it really like brought a new perspective, and like watching them work behind the camera was just unreal, seeing how they would react to scenes or like when they would just like, improv. It was unreal. So for me, it kind of brought a new light to things. And I was like, maybe I would actually like to act. And I think after playing Trinity and like finding a new character who wasn't me, I definitely would love to play different roles. And it's actually fun to not be yourself, to dig into something else and to play a character who you really are nothing alike. So I would actually, from now on out, I would love to do more acting jobs.
For sure, I'm sure this movie will definitely like up your portfolio a lot because it's really well known and it's really great on Netflix as well. And of
Yeah.
course, you dance a lot in the movie. Do you have any other choreographers or dancers you'd want to work with in the future?
There's a couple. I mean, when I was younger, I took a class from this guy called Jaquel Knight, and he's actually the choreographer for Beyonce. And one of my dream roles growing up was to dance for Beyonce. So I mean, to work with him would be unreal. Also, Paris Goebel, I don't know if I'm saying her name right, but she choreographs her. I mean, everybody. Her style's a bit different than mine, but I feel like it'd be a challenge and I'd be up for it. And she's just like super fierce. I'd love to work with her. But I mean, I'm just grateful to work with anybody who comes my way. I just love meeting new people and learning choreography, and I'm all about that.
Definitely, that's the best way to be. And of course, the dance numbers in Work It were really intricate and so great. What was the rehearsal process like for them? How long did that take?
So for Thunderbirds, it was different than TBDs, to be honest. We rehearsed like for I would say about 3 to 4 weeks straight, for about 4 hours at a time. Like they would vary. Some days it'd be like 4 hours straight. Some days it'd be like an hour, bit of a break, another 2 hours. I remember the first week was the most intense. Like after the day one, I'm like, can I do this? Like, am I this out of shape? Like it was intense, but I think the choreographers really wanted to like drill it in our heads and kind of push us to be the greatest, and I really appreciated that because when it was time to film, we were ready for it. We could film three numbers back to back without feeling tired. But once we started filming, we actually didn't have time to rehearse because we would film quite often. So we would rehearse maybe like an hour after a day of shooting, or we had like a rehearsal day like before we shot the actual number. But once we started filming, we actually didn't have many rehearsals, so we learned the 2 routines before we started shooting.
Wow, that's really amazing because I really like the one that was like, I forget, it's like where, I don't know, like he had like the big like solo in it.
Oh, the one when he comes down, he's all in white.
That was
Yeah,
amazing.
that one was killer to learn because we changed it quite a bit. So I'm in the floor part in the beginning, and I'm gonna just let you know those we had knee pads, thank the Lord, but that was like a painful one, like being on your knees for 2 hours rolling around. Not the easiest job. I mean, it was again. I appreciate it because it made me look great in the end for all the rehearsals. But that one was a long process because we would change a lot, and the director would come in and be like, "Oh, I like that. Can we fix that?" Of course we can. So then we'd go back and fix things to make it look the best. So things would change up until the day we would shoot.
Definitely, that's really crazy to know from like a viewer perspective. Like we would never expect all of that to go
Yeah.
behind the scenes, but
There's a lot of behind the scenes work that you don't even realize goes into filming a movie, but that's definitely, rehearsals are definitely a huge part of it.
that's amazing. And then is there any other behind the scenes secrets that like you could share with us maybe about the set or just like being with the cast or anything like that? That's fun to know.
We don't have like any like secrets. We're pretty open. I posted like all my BTS to be honest on my Instagram channel, Instagram page, but we played a lot of Jenga. Like we were really serious about our Jenga, so we would have it like in the green room on a table, and then we would literally leave, film the scene, and then come back and continue playing. And then we'd like all have. I didn't play too much because I'm not a huge fan of Jenga. Lots of cards, lots of sleeping on set because we'd have like early morning calls or rehearsals. So like if we weren't dancing or playing Jenga or cards, we were definitely sleeping. So I know some cast caught us like sleeping around. We actually had one cast member, Tapes. He notorious. It didn't matter where he was sleeping. I think one time they actually said that he fell asleep while filming a scene. And they're just like, Nathaniel, wake up, come on, you're filming. So that's definitely one secret is that Nathaniel, who plays Tapes, he loves to sleep. Doesn't matter where he is, he's finding somewhere to nap. And just lots of games, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's so funny though. I mean, I guess like dancing can be very tiring and everything like that. So I wonder if you were sleeping.
Yeah.
How have you been holding up during the quarantine period? Have you been dancing? What have you been doing to stay busy?
Yeah, so I think in the beginning it was definitely like really hard because I come from a very busy type of life, like I'm going to the studio to rehearse, I'm teaching, I'm working, I was just finished school, but I was in school. And so to go from like having a hectic full day schedule to having nothing to do is really, really hard for me. I think the first month I kind of took it to relax. I was like, you know what, it's a good little vacation break. Watch lots of Netflix, lots of sleeping, lots of relaxing. But then it got to a point where I'm like, okay, I gotta be productive. So I started doing some online acting classes, watching lots of like YouTube videos, TED Talks, just like different casting directors, producers, just talking about what they do. Lots of like just I love to like be in my basement and just kind of dance around. So lots of that. I did still teach over Zoom. So I did that, which kept me busy. And just spend time with family, relaxing. I mean, now it's summertime, so just being outside, catching some sun. But I think, yeah, staying busy is definitely important, or else you'll go insane because there's nothing to do. So I think finding something, and that's I found, acting, dancing, still training since there's nothing to do. That's what I was doing.
Definitely. And of course, during the quarantine, you were at home and work it premiered. Did you do anything like have a debut party or like FaceTime the cast or anything like that?
Yeah, so actually, in Toronto, we're in stage 3 here. So we're allowed to hang out with people in groups of 10 if you keep your distance, stuff like that. And so the day before, because we watched the film obviously before it came out, so there wasn't like a premiere, but some of the cast came over there before at my house, and we had a bit of a party. We did like our own red carpet. We just hung out, watched the film, and then the next day for the actual debut of the film, my fam came over, and I had like kind of a party, not really a party, and then we had a Zoom call with the cast and the director that evening. So I mean, it wasn't ideal, but it still made something happen, and it was fun.
Sure, definitely. And of course, you probably gained so many fans from this project. What has the fan reaction been like to the film for you, maybe on social media or just
Insane. I mean, when you film a movie, you're not sure what the outcome's going to be. And I remember on set, people would be like, it's going to be huge. They're going to love it. And you're like unsure, you don't know what's going to come out of it. And especially a character like mine where I'm only a supporting actress and I'm kind of like a mean girl. I'm not on the winning team. So you don't really know if people are going to love or hate, And to be honest, I have just received love. Like the fans have been so great reaching out. Like I try my best to reach out to everyone and, show my love and my appreciation. But like the fact that it was #1 in so many countries was like breathtaking. Like we really didn't expect it to be this big. And it's just like, I'm like literally out of words because everyone has been so kind and sweet. And it's so great.
That's